Welcome to Enlightened World Network. I'm Dr. Ruth Anderson, and today we are doing another session of Light Language One with the Light. And our special guest is one of our hosts for the show, Sharmee Divan. Sharmee, I am so excited to be having this conversation with you today.
Me too, Ruth, because this show has, we started it so innocently and just not having any target in our minds. And the journey that it has taken me on has been incredible over the past few months.
Okay, let's dive into this a little bit. So Sharmee and I were just having conversation after she had done a meditation for our meditation a day. And we were both really intrigued with light language. And we decided that we wanted to do a show to learn more about light language. And we started inviting on some of our EWN hosts that we know do light language, Niobe Weaver, Kalina Molnar. Who else did we have on?
Kritika, Lena, Sonal.
Yes. So, but so many, and they have all been amazing. And each one has been such a learning, one right on top of the other. Well, so fun for us was that the learnings were coming in so strong for Sharmee. And so Sharmee, why don't you share with us how you first, if you remember, started experimenting with light language, which was actually more a written language than verbal.
Yes. Actually, so when it started, of course, I wasn't aware. And, a lot of us have this habit of doodling. And so did I, because, we all doodle when we're not thinking so much, when we're bored in a class or whatever, we doodle. So I don't know when it must have first come to me. But yes, now when I see my old books, I can see the doodles that I would make, which look kind of like the light codes. Mm-hmm. But I had drawn some henna on my hands, and one of my students, Kritika, who we interviewed, I think 2 sessions ago, she told me, she said, Sharmee, you're channeling light language. And I'm like, no, it's just a henna design. I just ignored it. And then this year, actually this started maybe last year, sometime early last year, where I would get these rashes. I want to say in 2019, not even 20, now that I think of it. So like 2019, 18, maybe I would get these rashes, and there was no dermatological reason why I got these rashes. And like those rashes would come like from my ears down up until here, and sometimes on my hands, like they would just itch so much, and I'd have rashes right here on my forearm. So these were the places that I would have rashes. And then I'm clairaudient, so I would hear this loud high frequency sound and it would stop. And this kind of intensified over time. And I did take the advice of a dermatologist, which wasn't helpful. And then I started listening. So I did this year in February 2021, I did this, I taught this class called 11 Days and 11 Ways to Connect with Your Angels. And that's when the downloads intensified. And I started listening to words. So like if I was to share my earlier light language, it was all words. It doesn't look like anything. It's just words. Okay. And sometimes I would be able to speak it. Most times it just was so quick that I didn't exactly hear what it was. But I started researching on it. And then I told you, Ruth, that I'm having this happen, and then Jeanette was the one that kind of facilitated the process for me. And so I shared some of it with her, and she said, Sharmee, take time out to do this light language because it is coming to you very, very strongly. And if you don't do something about it, there will be like an energy saturation in a way. So I started taking time out to do it, like specific time out to do it. I started doing, you know, just doodles again, and like it kind of grew. So like this was just one page which I shared, and then it kind of grew on me, and then it became multiple pages of just stuff that I wrote, and I don't even know what it was, but it was pages and pages of stuff that I wrote. And then it started to show up as symbols.
So let's go back to the words. So you were talking about your time with Jeanette Smith Wesolowski, and she was one of the other guests that we had on the show. So with the words that were coming in, did they feel like, or did they sound like male words, female voices? Could you tell?
I couldn't, honestly, I couldn't, because sometimes it would sound very, so it like it was more of the energy of it than the sound of it that was masculine or feminine. And then sometimes it had no gender. So if there was more of a chanting tone to the light language, it was very feminine. And if there were a lot of words, it was quite masculine or asexual.
Okay.
Very
And then Kalina Molnar, who came on one of our shows, she talked about having over 60 languages, which was
yes.
fascinating to me. And she talked about channeling the light language from, I think she said 4 different places. One was galactic, one was angelic, one was, I think, maybe the ascended masters, and the other one human. Oh, the earth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So earth or human. Right. So when you were
also
hearing
elemental.
Also what?
Elemental.
Elementals. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So when you were first hearing the words, any idea which of those? Okay.
No. But I believe when I sent the clip to Kelina, she said it was more earth.
Okay.
And Jeanette said it was very Native American sounding. So I believe it was more earth. But then some kind of sounded very angelic. Eventually, I realized it was very Lemurian. Now I don't know where that belongs. Maybe Earth, because it was on Earth, but I'm not sure.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. Okay. Thank you. And so then you started getting more graphics.
Yeah. And then I started getting the hand gestures. And I started to really concentrate on mudras. Like mudras would come to me, and I am of Indian origin, and we do mudras all the time. So I didn't think much of it. But then, when when the mudras and the hand gestures came, so did the language, through spoken words. So it kind of all started one after the other. And now it's more like, so almost every day. And I think that was Jeanette again. And, she and I were talking on our show about this, that, right after you take a shower or while you're taking a shower, you start, speaking the light language. And my understanding of that is that it's because of Lemuria and Atlantis, in the sea. And because water carries that energy with it, no matter where you are, and you take that, shower and you cleanse yourself, that the language again starts to come out. So now it's pretty much every day that, after I've taken a shower, I will speak the language while I'm in the shower and then outside. And I'll just say it in my head, or I will just chant, and people are thinking that I am chanting, some shlokas or mantras, but it's the light language that I'm speaking, because my family doesn't know or understand what this is. They've never heard me speak it.
Okay.
My son observes what I draw, and he loves the drawings, but nobody else knows what this is.
Are you able to understand, or can you translate what you're receiving?
Now I'm able to have a fair idea because it's, been in my consciousness for a while, and everybody that we connected with, and I would connect with them one-on-one, and Kelly now was one of them. Um, who else? There were a couple of other people that I connected with later on, and they said that, Sharmee, start dropping the barriers, let it flow, just let it flow. Don't think, don't judge, don't wonder if you will get judged for speaking it. And so I just went, full-fledged with the light language. And now I'm happy to say that, hey, light activations, complimentary in this workshop. I was very nervous. When it started, I was very nervous, and I wouldn't ever tell this to anybody. I still haven't told the third dimensional people in but yeah, my students know about it. My followers know about it. And I'm happy to share the artwork because I don't have a judgment about it anymore.
That's so exciting. I love that. I love that. Well, and so let me back up to the water. There is something very special about vibration coming through water. And I receive information in the shower as well. And I think that that's part of what pulls me to go to an ocean whenever I can. So yeah, even if it's not light language, friends, there is such a connection to spirit and water. So don't be surprised if you get messages in the shower or the bath, or if it's raining, or whatever, however water is a conduit for you to receive. So with your family, are you afraid to tell them, or just not ready to tell them? Or
it's just not something that came up. And I never made the effort to inform them that, hey, by the way, I do light language. Like, it makes no sense because they don't know what I do anyways.
I know.
They cheer me on for what I do, but they have no idea what I do because I'm a first generation psychic, really. My son, on the other hand, is very intuitive, and he can see the fairies and the angels, and he will tell me, and so he look at my artwork and he'll be like, oh my God, Mama, that is so interesting. What is it? So then I did inform him because I like educating him about things.
Yeah.
So yeah, with him it's come up, but I don't think he is that 3D with me being his mother.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you share some of the visuals that you've received? And we
Yes.
also had Rachel Otto. She was also one of the ones that we had interviewed last week.
Yeah. Yes. So this was one of my very first ones that I did. So I don't do a whole lot of artwork because a whole lot of artwork doesn't show up for me. And then there was a time where I did, something like that. So it looked like me writing scripts. And then if you see, this has like English words, which are the sounds that I was hearing, and then some shapes. And then I saw, symbols like that with Kelina, and she said, this is the language of the Helios, or the sun. So I think, I want to say she said it was of Helios.
Interesting.
And yeah, so it got to that. And then I started also downloading signatures like that. These are signatures of different beings, and I don't know who these are. That is another one. So like I don't always have my art book handy, so it doesn't get very colorful. It's kind of boring. But, and then I sometimes I will use the Procreate app, And this one was very interesting. So I'm learning about dragons, and one of the beings that I started channeling recently are the dragons, and they encouraged me to learn about them. So I contacted a trainer from Diana Cooper's School of White Light, and I trained myself. I completed my dragon teacher training, and she asked me to do an artwork about what is my connection with the dragons. And this is what came out of it. And here, like, so what I understood is that, I think it was my connection with the consciousness. So what this told me was that as much as I want to connect with the consciousness is also working on connecting with me. And that was the message with this one. And that, when we work with the higher energies, that it works on our DNA level, and it starts to change the codes of our DNA.
Yep.
Hence moving us towards ascension, because Earth is now moving towards ascension. There are intergalactic beings who are working towards leading our planet to ascension energies, a result of which is the pandemic also. Because if you see, the pandemic has done so much more good than it has done bad. People have started to be more conscious of what they put in their mouths. Travel is lesser, so pollution is lesser. People are kind of coming home to their own kind of food, own kind of shelter, own kind of clothing, because transportation and everything has gotten more expensive. So yes, we are preparing for a golden era. There's no arguing about that. And a lot of portals of the dragons are opening up. And one of the languages that I do are the Lemurian with the dragons. So that is one of the light languages that I am aware of, that I can speak and work with. And then I'm going to show the last one in a moment.
Yeah.
But then I bought myself an art bag. And so this was one of my works. Once again, this is about 4-5 months old. And then today, because we were going to talk about, I thought this was Metatron energies, and then I showed it to Kritika and she confirmed me on that. She said this is very Metatron energies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of learning and exploring myself. But one thing I would tell people is that do it anyways, even if you're not sure, because honestly, it's not your job to really know who you are channeling. It's just important that you open yourself up to the light. And I was sharing with you, Ruth, that, I did this light healing for my son, and his fever went down almost immediately. So now I only ever do light code healings, light code activations for people who want to, open up their abundance, their heart chakra, awaken to a spiritual self, anything. I will just ask them to, channel themselves through me, and whatever comes, I'll give it. I did an 8/8 portal activation also. I think I did share that with you. But then today, somehow I was just guided to sit and, download the language, and somehow it's become very matrix like. So if you see this, it kind of looks like matrix, right? Or all of that. It's very matrix like feel to it. And this one is the ascension unicorn energies. That's what they told me.
When you say matrix, are you thinking crystalline grid?
No, like the matrix, that, like, if you've ever seen the movie Matrix, and you see those codes kind of coming down. Yeah. So lately, that's how I'm seeing the light language coming down in the matrix.
Got it. Okay.
Not like a crystal. So lately, it's been a lot of like lines and dots and lines and dots for me. and then some words and some signatures of the beings that are doing this with me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But this one is like, so that's the unicorn horn. It's not a rocket really, but it's a unicorn horn. And what it told me was to activate the love energy for ascension. And that is the only way forward for us. So to awaken to more love. And that is the message that I feel that the viewers today will receive if they were to look at this particular artwork, light language. So this one like specifically came down for EWN show.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I personally, like, I think by far this is my most favorite one. I love it. I'm an artist, but I do my best to, put it down on paper the way I see it.
So how do you see it? Do you see parts at a time? Like, do you see the rainbow and then you do the rainbow, or do you see all of it? Or what is that like for you?
I see it in bits and pieces.
Okay.
And then I just kind of draw wherever I see the space fit for it. So like I will just allow my hand to be the guide. Like I don't think so much before I put things in. I just allow for it to flow. So like I did all of this together, and then like all of this was blank, right?
Got it.
And like maybe an hour before our meeting is when this part came in. I'm like, oh yeah, rainbow, unicorn. Okay, I get it. So the first thing that only came to me was the unicorn horn, because it's known for its magical properties. And I was like, okay, so unicorn, and then that's the magic coming out of the horn. But it felt kind of incomplete. It took me a few hours to do this, really. It may not look so much, it's a small picture, but it comes in bits and pieces, and then I just start filling it in. But this is like, artwork is not so much for me as much as the spoken words are, or the chants are, and the hand gestures are.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. But it is like I would say I'm still just only starting out. It's not even been a year that I have been out and about doing this. And I can see the dynamic changes that it has brought for me in my life. It made me retire from something that I never thought I will retire from, which was tarot. I just stopped connecting with tarot. And I don't know why, but last time when we were talking to Rebekah, she was talking about, why did I retire from tarot? So like, I always tell this to you, that every interview that we have has been a different revelation for me. And I personally feel that the masters worked it in such a way that I got that information bit by bit, just as much as I could comprehend and digest and then apply in my life. And I believe that those who are following our light language show, that it will help them remember their own light language, because there are people who are teaching light language, and I contacted a lot of people who I thought could teach it to me, but nobody can teach it. It can only ever be remembered, and we've heard that from the best of them, haven't we?
We have absolutely. And you're talking, when you say Rebekah, you mean Rebekah Abraxas. She was on the show with us.
Well, you know what? I don't know who it was. No, not, it wasn't Rebekah Abraxas.
Oh, was it Rachel Otto who mentioned that?
It was Rachel who mentioned it, not Rebekah, sorry.
Okay.
It was Rachel who mentioned it. And then Rebekah empowered me about the chants, because she does the voice toning.
Right.
I had asked her about, if you're just hearing the sound, is that light language? And then I got my answer like, oh yes, that is light language too, because mine is, it feels like a combination of everything.
It truly is.
Sometimes I am lost as to what I'm channeling or who I'm channeling. But then, somebody like Kritika said, it's not important who you channel. What matters is that you surrender and you channel. So I feel like each and every one of them, they're so experienced with it, and they're so powerful and in their power, and then empowering so many other people who are maybe new to it, maybe exploring it, and coming into their power. So it's such an empowering channel that we have on the Enlightened World Network, that I strongly encourage people to keep coming back to these shows to get some guidance, to get some inspiration, and start remembering their light language. And then I did start a group called Awaken to the Light on Facebook. So where I am happy to just freely guide people if they are stuck or they're remembering their light language and they need some help with it.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to check that. I'm going to check your page out. That's great. Now, it really is an amazing group of women that we have had come in through this show. Yeah, it's making me actually want to go back and watch them all again, because each woman was so amazing and so strong in what they do, so powerful, really. And you can find them all on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and go pull up Enlightened World Network and type in light language in the search, then it'll pull up all of those shows. So please feel free to check that out. And we're also having Julia Grief come up. She's going to be our next guest. So I'm really excited about Julia coming on to the show. Sharmee, I think that's going to be another growth step. And so looking forward to that. Sharmee, is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we leave for the day here?
I think I've said everything, but I will still reiterate this, that don't shy away from this. Come into power with it. And every person I have, experienced it in our show has a different approach. Every person will tell you something different. Take it and empower yourself with it, but don't be overshadowed by it, because your way is the right way for you. It is how you understand light. This is how I understand light. That was how Rebekah understood it, how uh, um, Jeanette understood it, and so on and so forth. Lena, who just interprets light language and the sounds and the codes. Every person is so different with light language. Susan Amara, I think her artwork,
outstanding.
oh my gosh, she was so brilliant. So every person is unique, and then so are you. So if you are doing this differently, it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. Just make sure that it feels expansive right here and right here. When you do the light language, it should be an expansion to your chakras, your higher chakras especially. You should feel that opening of your stellar gateway happening. You should feel the expansion of the heart happening. Sometimes you will connect with certain light language, sometimes you will not, and that's completely okay. Allow yourself to experience everything, and that's the reason why we have this show with so many different people and so many more that we are going to interview, right?
Yes.
So there is going to be like a buffet for people to see. Oh my gosh, somebody like Alina who can do 61 different light languages, and then some others who only do one or two, and some others who don't know what they're doing, as long as they're just aware that they're doing the light language. Right. So just allow yourself and open up to it. Now is the time. Now is the time to find yourself, maybe a guide, maybe a mentor. Come on to EWN. If you don't really know who your guide or mentor should be, a lot of them are doing it for a fee, and very rightly so. And a lot of them are just doing it, from their heart, and they don't really do this as a profession. But we will all help you remember your own light. It is coming to your own light, and it is awakening to your own light. And always remember that. That's my message.
No, that's beautiful, Sharmee. Sharmee, if somebody is brand new to the idea of light language and they want to get started, how much of this is divine timing? And how much of this is you coming forward and saying, okay, now I'm ready? What do you think?
Everything is divine timing. Even if you think you're ready, you may not be ready. I had a student, and she almost pretended to do the light language. And she sent me like 4 pictures of it and disappeared. Like, she doesn't talk about it at all. She got very excited about it. There wasn't her time to remember the light language. And then some others who just started out and went the lengths with it. Like, I would say Kritika is one of them, because the first time that I ever saw her do light language was when she came in as a student in my angel therapy class. And I told her, I said, this appears to be light language. But and I personally never thought that this could ever happen to me. I thought it happened to very special people with very special abilities.
You are special, Sharmee.
But I didn't think I was so special to be doing light language. Like, I had like put it on a pedestal, and I would keep second guessing myself over and over and over again. But then the intensity of it grew so much that I had to be like, okay, all right, just thy will be done, not mine. And I always say that before I even start the download. Like, if it is especially coming out on a paper, I will just sit and be like, okay, thy will be done, not mine. Thy will be done, not mine. I'm not the judge. I'm not the creator of this. It's just happening, because it's so much easier for me to speak it or do the hand gestures, because it just comes. Whereas this one kind of will be like effort some, and I know that I have to really push myself to do the drawings, because it's harder for me to see things than to hear. One of the mantras I would say is, thy will be done, not mine. So let your will be done and not mine. I'm just a channel. And just to keep taking those barriers down, stepping out of the ego self, stepping away from the lower energies, and just being open and a channel to the light. And all of us are capable of it.
That's beautiful. Sharmee, thank you so much for sharing your path with us. And the reason I'm stumbling is because they're just showing me us doing this in about 6 months from now, and an update on where things have come for you. So I'm looking forward to that. So Sharmee, thank you so much for being here. And our friends who are interested in light language, please check out the other videos. If you want to be in touch with any of the folks that have been on the show presenting light language, just reach out to me or Sharmee through Facebook Messenger. I'm sure they wouldn't mind. It's an important time that we all stand in the light and do what we can to share the light. It's a really important time for that. So thank you for joining us. You all take good care, and God bless.
Thank you.